What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Ragin Ronin review. In this episode, I'm going to be giving you guys a top 10 list. And this top 10 list has been widely requested, especially from the Marvel fans. And that is because this list is for my top 10 films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, you guys already know that the Marvel Cinematic Universe currently consists of 12 films. That means 2 films are not going to make the cut. Now, for a top 10 list, number 10 is typically my least favorite, with number 1 being the film that, in my opinion, I think is the best out of the 10. But don't get me wrong, because I think all the films, all 12 of the films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe are good. And they are from good to excellent to outstanding. Alright, so with no further ado, let's start off with number 10, and that would be Thor. I really enjoyed Thor. I didn't know what to expect when watching Thor for the first time, and what I saw was quite pleasing. It was a very character-driven film, and I really liked the Thor character, and Chris Hemsworth did a really great job. It didn't need to be a very spectacular superhero film. What I really needed from the Thor film is to really care for the character and understand the character. So what they did was they did a great job with it, and they also introduced a villain like Loki, who ended up being a very iconic villain later on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So Thor's number 10. Number 9 is Thor the Dark World. I actually thought that Thor the Dark World is even better than Thor. I love the story development and how they introduced the Dark Elves, and it really dwelled more into Thor's universe and the 9 realms. So that was really cool how we got to explore more of his world. Number 8 is Captain America, the first Avenger. Now, this was also a very character-driven film. There was a lot of character development in this. We got to see a Steve Rogers who was very weak and small, who eventually ended up being Captain America. So I love the transition, even though I felt that Red Skull was not that strong of a villain. I still felt that this was a really great movie in the sense that the story really developed to what later on will make us view Captain America as the leader of the Avengers. So that was a really good, I guess, prequel to the Avengers. All right, so very cool. Number 7 is Iron Man 3. Now, this one received a lot of mixed reviews, but generally speaking, I think it's a very good story. If you don't look at what they did with the changes to the various characters, I think it was very entertaining. And not only that, it had a lot of great moments. There was a lot of great heroic moments, and it was even more character-driven than I would say the first 2. Of course, the first one had a lot of character development, but this one is where we got to see another, I guess, aspect of the Tony Stark character. And I say Tony Stark because we get to see more of the Tony Stark character as opposed to Iron Man, which I thought was something that we really needed to see. After seeing so much of him in the armor, it was really good to see another side of the character. And of course, seeing all those armors come together for the big climactic battle was awesome. So I gotta put Iron Man 3 as number 7. Number 6 is a film that came out recently, and that is Avengers Age of Ultron. I gotta put that one up there, and it's a film that I saw twice in the theaters. I really enjoyed it. It had a lot of great superhero moments, and I felt that the ending could have been a little better. You know what? I felt that the ending was just it wasn't as great as the rest of the movie, I'll tell you that, but the rest of the movie was fantastic. Joss Whedon had a really tough task in not only making this one better than the original, but trying to balance all these different characters, and not only that, but also introduce new characters to the mix. So I think what he did was a fantastic job. Number 5. Guardians of the Galaxy. What a surprising crowd pleaser of a film. I didn't know what to expect, but after watching the teaser trailer and then the trailer after that, I knew it was going to be good. Just because there were so many different aspects about it, which really strayed away from our typical superhero film from the Marvel Marvel films in general. So this was something very, very different, and I think this was something that was very much needed to inject new life into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, especially since we've been seeing so many sequels to the previous characters like Thor, Iron Man, Captain America. I think it was a great time to introduce the Guardians of the Galaxy, especially since they are quite connected to the Avengers story, especially in the comics, so I think it's appropriate to bring in these characters into the mix. So that is number 5. Number 4 is Ant-Man. I loved Ant-Man. In fact, if it was still in the theater right now, I would watch it again. I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was a film that was just like Guardians of the Galaxy. It introduced something new to the mix. It was a brand new character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was a very different character. It was an unlikely hero. And it had the same type of charm as Iron Man, because there was that character development. And then, of course, you get the hilarious humor that we also saw in Guardians of the Galaxy. You throw that into the mix and you end up with a very, very fun film. And it really goes in the tradition of all the Marvel Cinematic Universe films, and that they are fun. And Ant-Man is proof of that. They can keep these stories really, really fun. So they do a good job with that. Number 3 is Iron Man. Iron Man is a really, really great comic book movie. In a way, it kind of redefines the comic book genre by making not only an outstanding film, but one that is quite spectacular. After all, Iron Man is now viewed as a very, very iconic superhero icon in films, in live-action films, and they really solidified that with the very first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So from this point on, everybody loves Iron Man. Everybody loves, and by everybody, I mean the general public, right? Not everybody, but like most people like Iron Man. Most people like Tony Stark, especially the way Robert Downey Jr. portrays him. And I think that what they did was an outstanding job with this origin story. So great job with that film, and Jon Favreau really nailed it. Number 2 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Now this one felt very, very different from what I'm used to. Of course, you have a lot of great superhero moments, but this one felt like a political thriller. And not only that, it felt like a movie that has comic book movie elements in it. It felt like a political action thriller with superhero elements in it. And I like that they kind of strayed away from the over-the-top feel that the other films have and kind of kept it more grounded. And the Russo brothers really did a great job in really conveying that to the audience. Because what we've seen in the past was, you know, we've seen aliens and we've seen nether realms and we've seen like magic and sorcery and things like that. Well, not really magic and sorcery. That will be introduced later on. But still, we've seen a lot of out-of-this-world elements, right? And now we're seeing in Captain America: The Winter Soldier, they kept everything quite grounded in reality, even though, you know, helicarriers are, you know, something that I don't know if it's quite practical in the real world sense, but still, when you watch this film, you really get the idea that they're trying to keep it on a more realistic level, and I love that they decided to do that, because it really brings you something new. It really brings you back to the world of the first Iron Man film, where it's all just grounded in technology and real life-based physical combat. So not a whole lot of this high-flying action, even though Falcon was in it, but still they kept it to a very, very minimal, and they did a very outstanding job with it, to the point where I gotta say that it is a film that I'm definitely going to put there at number 2. And you guys already know what number 1 is, and that is The Avengers. Marvel's The Avengers, the very first Avengers film where they bring all those characters together. That is still awesome. Even though it came out in 2012, 3 years later, I still find that it is an awesome film. It has great direction in it, and it's a very progressive film. It starts off with a very, very minimal sense of superhero craziness, to the point where it just grows and grows and grows and grows to a very amazing climactic battle, which is very satisfying in the end. And Joss Whedon, he's able to balance all his I guess efforts, his directing efforts, to every single one of these characters on a very well-balanced level. And every single one of those characters gets equal amount of time to shine and have their screen time and have great moments, and they all contribute equally. So that was great. It was something that I felt was a very, very tough task for Joss Whedon, but he pulled it off perfectly. I think that it is a near perfect film. I gotta say that if they did something a little bit better with the opening sequence, a little bit more exciting in the opening sequence, I think that it would have a perfect film. But other than that, I give it a really high score. I give it a 9.5 out of 10, which is really, really high. And I don't know how they can really make make the film that much better, aside from tweaking the opening sequence. But other than that, everything else was perfect. I saw it 3 times in the theater, and to this date, even though when I watch it now, I still think it's a very, very great film. So that is great. So I'm sure that by now you guys already know which one I took out of the list, and that is Iron Man 2 and The Incredible Hulk. And I still think they're good films. I just don't think they're as good as these other ones that I've mentioned. Incredible Hulk has its weaknesses. Iron Man 2 also has its flaws, but they don't quite make the cut, even though I still think that they're good films, generally speaking. All right, so there you have it. I'm not going to be making another top 10 Marvel Cinematic Universe film until Phase 3 is over in 2019. But I still will be making more top 10 lists, and the next top 10 list I will be making is top 10 villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So stay tuned for that. I think this is going to be a very interesting list. Why don't you let me know in the comment section below which films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe consist in your list. Alright? So there you have it. That's all I got to say in this video. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. I find that Warner Brothers favors Batman. After all, they've done 4 Batmans in the past. In the Michael Keaton